Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome tonight. Sim, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. Today, we'll be talking something very important, and it's about a video a palm-colored woman made saying that why is it that they cannot teach Jesus in school? And a lot of people are telling her to be specific with the Jesus that she wants to be taught in school and all that. I tried getting her video, then it happened that she has already deleted her own video. So I couldn't see the full video, but I am sure you definitely will understand what she was talking about for few stitches and all that people stitch to the video. And okay, she is talking about teaching Jesus in school and all that. And I am asking, why is it that you all refuse to teach African American history and at the same time ban books? Because you all said that African American history is very violent, right? And it hurts you all feelings, and it's like indoctrinating the kids and telling them that before they were born that they are rare disease and the rest of it, And now, don't you think also telling teaching Jesus to, or talking about Christianity or in schools is like also indoctrinating them, because like when you come to school there are so many religions, probably some are atheists, some do not even believe in anything, so are Muslims. So how do you want to teach a Muslim about Christianity and all that? I mean, it's the math ain't even mathing, right? So if it's going to be inclusive, everybody, we have to look for a way to make everything balanced instead of only wanting to talk about Jesus. Let's get into this video.
Why can't we teach Jesus in school?
Hey there, I just wanted to point out your logical argumentation here is pretty fallacious. We don't teach LGBTQ+, as well as Black History Month and everything else, because it's about love and inclusivity, and since Jesus is like that, we should teach him too. No, we don't teach that because of love and inclusivity. That's a nice message. The reason we teach this stuff in school, okay, is to let the white Christian majority in this country know that minorities exist that are different than you. So hopefully one day in the future, they will stop oppressing us. Okay? Jesus isn't being oppressed. Last year alone, over 100 anti-transgender bills were passed in this country. This year, hundreds upon hundreds more are being introduced across the country in this political hot debate season. Jesus isn't suffering that. Jesus doesn't need your help. You are the majority in this country. You don't need to be taught in schools. You are ingrained into our culture at a very fundamental level. On top of that, I need to ask you, what exactly are you going to teach about Jesus in school? Are you going to teach the historicity of Jesus, the historicity of Jesus? Because as far as we know, Jesus probably existed as a person. He was probably an apocalyptic Jew who got crucified for treason against Rome, trying to incite a revolution or a war. But what else about Jesus are you going to teach that was factually true? The Bible contradicts itself in so many places. The Gospels contradict themselves in so many places. And many, if not all, of the stories in the Gospels are not authenticated outside of the Bible. There's no good scientific or historicity reason for teaching that in school. You'd have to come up with a system that teaches theology in school, teaches the argumentation in theology. You'd have to compare and contrast that with the other philosophical argumentations, such as science and metaphysics and all that other fun stuff. You'd have to start giving children an epistemological framework with which to argue with, which we don't even start teaching people in this country until at least undergrad in college. You have to come up with a whole entire framework to let people figure out what theology is, explore the different facets of different theologies. You'd have to explain to them why we don't accept theologies as historically factual. You'd have to go through the reasoning why these historic facts are not accepted, especially because since you want to teach Jesus, why are we not teaching Muhammad? I have to teach about Moses if you're going to teach about Jesus, because Jesus bases all of his teachings around Moses and the Old Testament, and as Jesus puts it, the Scripture, which you now call the New Testament, but Jesus called the Old Testament. So you'd have to explain that difference as well. You'd have to explain the different differences in Christianity. You'd have to explain the different schisms in the church. There's Protestantism, Mormonism, Catholicism, and then within each of those sects, you'd have their own sects. Protestantism has, the evangelical church. They have the fundamentalist church. Parts of the church, you have to explain to people what Calvinists are. Calvinism is. You have to explain what Mormonism is and why that exists. Jesus, there's so many different problems with teaching Jesus in school. You can't just say, "Here's Jesus," without explaining why you're teaching Jesus, who Jesus was, how we know who Jesus was, what the facts are of that case. It's such a problem to teach fictional characters. That's the problem. Sure, there may have been a historical Jesus, yeah, but the Jesus of the Bible, the Jesus that you're espouting, we teach in school, that's metaphorical nonsense. I don't want stories taught in school. I don't want kids learning about Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny any more than I want them learning about Jesus or Muhammad or the Buddha or who's the guy in Sikhism. I forget. Who are you supposed to teach, and why are you supposed to teach them? What's the historicity behind them? I could understand teaching them from a hey, this is what you'll find in the world perspective. I can understand that. Like, hey, there are Christians and they follow Jesus. Hey, there are Muslims and they follow Muhammad. Buddhists and all the other theologies. I wouldn't mind giving people a theological framework with which to understand these with. I wouldn't mind giving people good fundamental philosophical argumentation so they can understand logic, so they can understand reason, so they can understand debate, and so they can also understand why that believing in Jesus is kind of a psychotic thing to do. But teaching children Jesus because he was about love and inclusivity, and LGBTQ plus is about love and inclusivity, is a fallacy. It's a false equivalence. That is not why we teach LGBTQ plus in school. We teach that in school so people understand that we exist and stop oppressing us. You pricks.
Well, why can't we teach Jesus in school? Because Jesus was the same way. I mean, he was like, love your neighbor.
Which version of Jesus? Which version? Are we talking about the one that healed a woman who had an issue of blood? Or are we talking about the one that believes in supply side economics? Which version? The one that looked at a group of people and said, "He who was without sin cast the first stone," when they were getting ready to stone Mary Magdalene? Or are we talking about the one that would carry an AK-47? And we get to ask, who would Jesus shoot? Which version? Which version of Jesus should we teach? The one that came up with the Beatitudes? Or the one that believes that the Beatitudes are woke ideology? Or do you not remember that evangelical Christian pastor saying that after he taught the Beatitudes one day in his church, people walked up to him and asked him, "What's with all this liberalism?" So which version of Jesus should we teach? Because you know what? Let's call it what it is. Ever since the church got in bed with the Republican Party, y'all ain't been worth a fuck. And the funny thing about it is, we all have examples of bad Christians, and there are a lot of them. But for some reason, y'all don't know a version. Y'all have never met them. Amazing. I must say, it is absolutely amazing. But that's what we get. That's what we get. The same people who will sit up and tell you that all Muslims are like Al-Qaeda and ISIS and Bin Laden and the Taliban and things of that nature, because it's all Muslims until it's no Muslims, according to them. The same people who will hold on to their own anti-Semitic tropes and anti-Semitic behaviors and then ask the Jewish community to fucking, fight them. But for some reason, no matter when it's said or who it's said by, when you see Christians fucking up for some reason, oh, not my Christian, not my Christianity. Isn't that odd? Don't you think it's a little bit odd? Everybody knows a bad Christian, but except for other Christians. So which version should we teach? Which one? Because I hear a whole lot about what God hates and what Jesus hates. I don't hear a whole lot about what Jesus loves. I see companies, I see ultra rich, right wing, evangelical Christian conservatives spending billions of dollars on a he gets us campaign. But these are the same people that went to the Supreme Court so that they wouldn't have to pay their employees health insurance, which also covers their birth control because of religious grounds. Is that the same Jesus? Is that the part? Is that the Jesus you want taught to kids? Kids don't need to learn that at school. They can see it at home. The Westboro Baptist Church is planning on picketing the funeral of Next Benedict, the non-binary teenager. Oh, but that's not all Christians, right? Right? You have that drunk ass DUI millennial basically blaming Next Benedict for their own death. But that's not, and he calls himself a Christian. This is the same man who was on a live with a bunch of other people who wanted to see Palestinians murdered. Calls himself a Christian. But I forgot. He's not your Christian. So which version of Jesus should we be teaching our children? Or, and here's a better idea. Why don't Christians figure it out? You see, American society has to pay for Christians' identity problems. Why the fuck do we have to? There's a whole lot of Christians that would much rather see laws enacted that pass their misinterpretations of the Bible than actually fucking living any part of Jesus's life to begin with. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get into heaven. Jesus said that. But who is it that's voting for a rich man to be president again? Who is it that tells us the bootstrap story? I don't remember that being in the Bible. Probably because they were wearing like sandals. So which version? Which version? And if Christians can't figure out their own identity crisis, why the fuck are we responsible for it? The rest of us. Why do we have to live as Christians, live under a society where Christians can't figure out what the fuck they are? You have mega church pastors trying to tell other people how to live their fucking lives. But you have a tax exempt status which allows you to amass all this fucking money where you can be a prosperity fucking preacher. You are only a prosperity preacher because we have a tax exempt status on you. If you had to pay fucking taxes, you wouldn't be doing this shit. But that's not enough. That's not enough. Who is it that went up and petitioned the Supreme Court? They can have dinner with Clarence Thomas or Samuel Alito or Justice Roberts. I can't do that. But those, I'm guessing, are the bad Christians, not like the good Christians. Let me know when I'm supposed to know which one they are. And you want this shit, this identity crisis amongst the Christian fucking populace in this country. You want that taught to children. Why? Why? Here's a better idea. Rather than trying to shove that shit down the kid's throat, maybe y'all should figure out, what kind of Christian are you? Maybe it's time for some of y'all to start putting your reputations on the line and going after people in your church who are not practicing good Christian benefits and bona fides and things of that nature. In other words, they're not living like Christ. Rather than trying to spread an ideology, why don't you guys, I don't know, maybe figure out what the fuck y'all are and stop subjecting the rest of us to your misinterpretations. And then maybe we can talk about teaching that to children. Because see, one thing is absolutely fucking for sure. Members of the LGBTQIA plus exist. You see them every day. And they are hated for the way they live their lives. They're hated by who? Christians. But when you tell Christians, hey, it's not how Jesus would have been. It's not very Christ-like of you. Oh, that's not my Christian. When y'all figure yourselves out, maybe we can talk about teaching that shit to kids. Until such time, no. I said what the fuck I said. Keep that shit out of schools. Period.
So it's really amazing how they think Christianity is the only religion that that they have, and it is okay to teach about Jesus Christ in school, which is indoctrination, right? But it is not okay to talk about African American history, because each time we bring that up, it is also indoctrination, and also you are also trying to hurt their feelings, because their feelings are so fragile that how dare you hurt their feelings, and also trying to tell them that they are the cause of rare disease, and trying to also lie to their kids about racism and all of that. It's really amazing, but they are really so into teaching about Christianity and talking about Jesus. It's really, really, this is just very, if you all are going to talk about Christianity in schools, there are other religions also should be taught. And also African American history should also be taught, because you all kept banning books, because all of a sudden slavery benefited slaves and the rest of it, and don't talk about it, because when you stop talking about it, it's gonna go away, because that is also, oh, I don't see color. How are you supposed to see color? I know you don't see color, but you are not black. And if we ask you to switch color with us for just a minute, you probably will not give that up. You'll run away from it, because you all said there is no privilege, but you cannot give away that your color. That really shows how horrible you all are. So for me, it's trying to indoctrinate other kids, because I am sure a lot of parents do not even want their kids. Some probably would want that, some probably would not want that. And also there are other religions also. So if you are thinking of teaching Christianity, other religions should also not be left out, because it's all about inclusiveness. But you all are not ready to talk about that. You all do not care about inclusiveness. As long as it's just all about you, that is just all you all want. I am not. Some people are going to say you are obviously angry about Jesus or something. No, I am not. Or I am trying. No, I am not trying to say that, But we are not in a church. We can actually go to church for those that are Christians to learn about Christianity and all of that. But you cannot say because you want to teach Christianity and all that, then other students, I am trying, let's be logical, and also other students that do not want to learn that and all that are not. And also I do not like it when people try to bring LGBTQ, try to merge it up with black people and all that. LGBTQ is something different. Black community is just a different thing. And mind you, I do not have any problem with LGBTQ. So, but I do not like it when they try to mix both of it up, and also I don't like it. So it's either you are talking about a black community or you are talking about LGBTQ community, right? So let's stop mixing it up, and let's just stop mixing it up. So in essence, what I am saying is, for you all, African American history hurts you all feelings. So I think also Christianity might hurt other people's feelings, if only you understand what I am saying. What I'm saying is that there are other religions in school. Some people are probably pagans, some are atheists, they do not believe in anything, some are Muslims, and some are Jewish, some are different things. How do you just want to take only one religion and talk about it? So, yeah. And also, like I said, which Jesus do you want to talk about? Also, yeah, we also need them to be specific about the Christianity or about the Jesus they want to talk about, because we really need to understand. That's all I have to say. Let me know what you all think in the comment section. I see you all in my next video. Bye for now.